Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning to the folks on the West Coast. Good evening to the folks in Europe. My name is Tyler Price, and I'm here with DWS as sales manager for our products here, helping folks automate their testing. I'm gonna give people another minute or two before we really jump into the presentation today. But just wanted to quickly introduce myself and let everyone know that we'll be getting going here pretty soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Looks like we have a couple of other people trickling in. Let's give it a little while longer, and we'll get into our presentation today. Well, I think we can here get started, and we'll probably see some more folks trickle in as we go. But again, just want to introduce myself. My name is Tyler Price. I'm the sales manager here for our Dimension Swift Test tool, built for Oracle Cloud applications. Today, we will be reviewing how to ease the burden of your Oracle Cloud or SaaS updates through automated testing. Before we get started, I do want to just welcome all of the OATUG members and thank everybody for taking some time out of their day to check out what we have to say about automated testing. So let's jump into it. I just want to go over a quick agenda for the session today. So first thing I want to do is be able to share a little bit about who we are and what we do at DWS. From there, we'll spend some time looking at the functional testing opportunity as it relates to Oracle Cloud applications, and for those having to manage those business systems for their teams and their companies. We'll also take a closer look at what exactly test automation can deliver to your team. Some of the areas of efficiency, some of the areas that it can help you guys manage your systems. We will take a look at our testing solution. We won't be going through a live demonstration of Swift Test this afternoon, but we will be looking at a few screenshots and just look at the tool more in depth. And we will also be looking to do some questions and answers at the end of the session today. Just a quick heads up to everybody, the presentation should be about 35-40 minutes, so we should have plenty of time at the end for questions. It is not an interactive session, so I'll do my best to keep things moving and flowing appropriately. And again, we will have the chat box open, so feel free to submit any questions that you have as we go. And even if you want to follow up for more of a one-on-one conversation, feel free to let us know and reach out to us, myself or our team here at DWS, and we're always happy to schedule a conversation with anybody that's interested in speaking about this a bit further. So a little bit about us as an organization. So DWS has been around since the late 90s, 1998 is when we were really founded. For many of those years, we've worked very, very closely, or I should say for all those years, we worked closely with Oracle, and we've been an Oracle Gold partner. So originally, when we started out, we started out as a systems integrator and really focusing in on development and technical services for the J.D. Edwards community. More recently, in the last handful of years, we have released a number of software products for the JD Edwards community, and more recently, products for the Oracle Fusion Cloud Apps community as well. And that's what we'll really be focusing on today is the Oracle Cloud applications and really the life cycle of folks managing those systems. As an organization, we're certainly not a massive company, but we do like to think that we tend to punch above our weight class. So, we have customers all around the world, and we're also staffed in 10 countries. So, we very much have a global perspective. We certainly enjoy hearing that from our customers and the folks that we have the opportunity to speak with on a fairly consistent basis about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and the challenges they face. So let's jump into it. The first thing that we're going to want to take a look at today is the functional testing opportunity as it relates to Oracle Cloud customers. And really, I think the best spot to start is when we talk about, Oracle Cloud customers, the first thing that we really focus on is continuous innovation. When people talk about investing or, why they're using cloud applications, there's really a heavy focus on continuous innovation and continuous adoption for their team. Allowing your organization ultimately to make the most from that investment, enjoy faster deliveries of new features and enhancements that you haven't had access to previously with an on-premise solution. And with that in mind, we're moving more and more to a world where there aren't these big transformational changes to your business system every 2, 3, or 5 years. I would say more years in between for some companies. But what we see now is that your business system, or in this case your cloud application that your business is leveraging, you're going to see subtle changes or updates much more frequently, and at the very least for cloud customers on a quarterly basis. So for those who are using cloud apps or thinking about moving to cloud apps, it's really important to know that you're really in control for the most part. Kinda. You do have to take these updates each quarter, which is fairly new for many, that anybody moving to a cloud app. But if you do that early enough, you do have some ability to dictate where that update would sit in the quarter, and at the same time, when you're reviewing the update, you are able to figure out what you want to turn on or turn off from the features and functionality, as well as the capabilities that you would want your team to be able to take advantage of from that quarterly update. And really specific to your business and your business process. So for those that are recently moved to the cloud or considering moving to the cloud, this is really seen as a new normal in terms of how a team will manage their applications. Today when we talk to people, it's really about ultimately them running more projects more frequently, and they're doing this at a pace that that's fairly new to them, and they haven't had to necessarily do in the past. And I think the part of the message that we certainly have seen is, for those who aren't leveraging the right tools to enable their teams, the required testing for these updates are extremely challenging. I would say very time consuming. With those two pieces together, they really create a very expensive project to an organization, which as we go through this presentation today, hopefully we can share why that's not necessarily what you have to do. There's ways around that, and there's ways to make the whole process easier for your team. So when we think about, the opportunity, it's really interesting. So anecdotally, when we speak with people about managing their enterprise cloud applications, again, testing has become a problem because of how it's approached now, considering to how it was before when folks were working with, a non-cloud solution. And with that in mind, when we speak with people, what we hear is that anywhere between 25 to 65% of the total time and effort attributed to their software implementation or upgrade is really spent on testing. So I think what that says is, one, people know how important it is to test your systems, and two, there's a lot of room for improving that process for many. And what we're trying to deliver, and what we work to do is creating that system or that process that you don't necessarily need the engineer or the developer. And what we have heard, and again, what we've one report that we pay special attention to is the World Quality Report that is produced by Capgemini every year. And if you look at the information available, you can see people are not only spending a ton of time in regards to their testing strategy, they're also spending a lot of money. And this past year, the Capgemini polled thousands of IT leaders, and what they had to say was that almost 31% of their overall IT budget was actually allocated to testing and QA for their team. So if you're able to build a more efficient process that doesn't allocate the same type of resources, there's a great opportunity for your team to save money and really do the job better than you ever have before. So I think, again, what are the problems, what are the standard issues that we hear from our customers and again, the folks that we speak with on a daily and weekly basis? You're really looking at it, and many of the folks, and I would say the majority of the folks are working through similar problems or what we would call testing bottlenecks. And it begins with knowing and understanding what to test based on what your business does and ultimately what the application update is going to be changing in your application or in your system. And ultimately, when you understand what to test, you need to build and you need to plan, build, and manage those tests as you go. And in order to do that, you ultimately need to create the test scripts and edit those scripts as required. And as we keep speaking about, with the frequency of these projects, having access to the right people to run these tests as often as you need to, it can become a huge issue in a costly and an expensive issue for an organization if you're only relying on specialist test engineers or programmers to run these tests and to modify them. Even the process of being able to hand over, a project from the project team to the end user for acceptance testing can often be a huge problem and kind of a delay for many. I'm speaking with a customer where that's, when we talk about test automation, that's really the first thing that comes to mind is, hey, we run, we have multiple businesses under one instance, and when we are looking to run all these tests, ultimately our end users just do not have the bandwidth or the time to go through their acceptance testing, which is such a crucial part of the process. And leveraging a tool that can enable your team to do this more efficiently helps your whole staff, get through that project. Another area, it's funny because another area that we often hear folks have, I would say more problems and annoyance than concern is actually documenting the testing process or the test as you go. We'll talk a little bit about what a standard process looks like, but as you test and retest and modify, it's crucial to document as you go, for purposes of showing that everything is working correctly. And from the folks that are responsible for this, you will often hear this pop up early as one of the tasks that they really can't stand. And as I said before, it's really the time and effort it takes an individual to test and retest and go through that process, whether you're managing one application, two applications. These things can really compound on each other and really make it very difficult for a team to get through a change event or a quarterly update for your application. So when we think about the value of test automation, what exactly can test automation deliver to an organization or a team? And ultimately, when you're looking at a project, or I would say testing in the context of a project, whether it's an implementation or a quarterly update, what we're trying to help you do is, achieve those smaller, faster, and smarter projects. And what we've found is by running these projects in a better, smarter, more efficient way, ultimately you're enabling your team to deliver, value to the business sooner than ever before. And I think, when looking at investing in these cloud applications, that is what we were looking for in the first part, is really, okay, how can we get our team that value that we've never been able, or faster than we've ever been able to do. And that's really the same mindset that we have with a tool. It's enabling you to, do your testing at the speed and quality that you need to be confident that you are getting that value faster than ever before, and it's not going to compromise, any downstream systems by going live with a bug or problem in your environment. And that's when we talk about the value of test automation, the first thing we want to do is repeatable, be repeatable. We want to reduce the risk and we want to ease the burden. When we talk about repeatability, these three items really lay the foundation for what we're talking about and what we really think test automation can bring to your organization. And when you look at test automation, what it looks like, what it feels like, and what it can bring to a strategy or a project team, these are the key areas that make a huge difference. So when we think about repeatability, you think of a strategy that addresses your business requirements and ultimately, how you proceed with those requirements as an IT organization. So you want to see something that, supports your team doing the same thing over and over again, because ultimately, that's what this testing process typically entails. You want to see a reliable, methodology and a tool that helps you consistently and easily, help you create that reliability. Another area where automation can really provide value is reducing the risk. And I think for any organization that is, moving forward with an application, I would say just having an enterprise application that's crucial to your business. Now, reducing the risk is, if not the top concern, it's right up there. When you're managing hundreds or thousands of scripts and tests, improving the quality and reducing the risk is a true game changer. For those who aren't familiar, Oracle does give you a 2-week window to test and implement any changes or fixes that you need from that update. And if you're relying on manual testing, it really invokes a much higher opportunity for human error. And as everyone knows, anytime you're going live with an area or an error in your business system, that really is a huge risk and problem for any organization. And the last area we like to highlight is easing the burden. When we early on, when we looked at solving the testing problem, we did it with the view of lightening the load or easing the burden. And it's not only to do the best job possible, but how do we make it easier on your team, and how do we make it more efficient for your team to handle those issues? And ultimately, these efficiencies have a domino effect across your organization. From the people in charge of the testing to the end users responsible for the acceptance testing. Allowing the organization to focus on the value of the continuous innovation without slowing down or risking complications to your downstream systems. And when we talk about our test automation tool, these are the areas that we've seen Swift Test really make a huge impact. So what we're looking at now, the slide that we're looking at really more or less shows the steps of any given update project or change event project, I should say. And what we come back to is helping folks really create those smaller, faster, and smarter projects. And really, when you do an update project, what you're going to be doing is the same thing over and over again. And with Swift Test, our tool specifically, we're giving you a platform and a framework to ultimately compress the time and energy needed to put into those projects. And what we're looking at now is, it really does show the 8 steps that any project is going to entail. As we said before, when you decide whether what you want to implement from the update, you need to understand the scope, and you need to understand how it's going to impact your business. From there, within our tool, you can easily create those test scripts through our application aware technology, which I'll share a bit more about later. And then ultimately, when you create those test scripts that mirror your business process, you're going to run and repeat those tests as you're required to ensure that there's no bugs or issues with your system. And with Swift Test, you're able to schedule those. You can either schedule those as when you're working or when folks are running those, or you can even schedule them to as unintended tests, where you can do it on off hours where it might be more efficient for your business. Anytime, we talked about it earlier, anytime that you're running these tests, you need to document every test you run and the execution and results. And from there, you're going to organize and maintain those scripts and those tests as you catalog, and then you'll be able to reference those, as you go. And again, building up that library of scripts and references, that's only going to help you as an organization as you continue to deal with these updates every 3 months. And then, from a business perspective and organization perspective, anytime there is an audit or you need to prove your work internally, you really have a tremendous documentation process within SwiftTest. Looking at some of our key features that I think we should shed some light on. You may have heard me say it before, but our tool is application aware, and really what that means is we're able to interact with any of the cloud application and using Oracle's Redwood UI. So any changes to that application, that's going to be read and picked up in SwiftTest. It's also, again, this is one of the areas that really make this tool really user-friendly, where you don't necessarily need the vast technical background as you would with some other tools. An area of efficiency that should also be highlighted is the test scripts can be soft-coded, meaning you can help your team build and modify those test scripts at scale, as the business needs, as the business grows, and as your processes change. Compared to so many other solutions, this is folks are saving a ton of time modifying and building their test scripts by being able to soft code. And then one of the most crucial elements to any testing process is really being able to replicate your end-to-end processes. So again, this is really important in SwiftTest by leveraging your scripts and your scenarios. You're able to replicate the end-to-end process that your whole that you would see within your organization, whether you're leveraging an ERP cloud, an HCM cloud. You're able to build those parts together where you can run, you can add those and keep them together to run a full process replicating what you would see at your with your organization. So as I mentioned earlier, we will not be giving a demonstration this afternoon, but I certainly did want to give you a sense of what the tool looked like and what the tool felt like. So, what we're looking at right now is the SwiftTest dashboard. And, we have this dashboard available via the cloud, and we call it the Dimension Hub. So basically, within the tool, we're able to summarize and play back what testing has been done from a certain time span. So you can see in the bottom, it's the date from, date to, and in the image, you can see all of the red and all of the green, and what that reflects is the red reflects the test failures, and the green reflects the successes, as you can see towards the end of the timeline there. And this dashboard is available in the hub, and it also includes an action center. It would include all of your projects that you're running and that you have ran, the execution of your test, as well as the the other data that you're reliant upon. And when you're working with the software at a client level, it's really important to understand we're creating action-based scripts. So on the right, these are individual actions that exist as steps in their own right, and they're maintainable. They can be changed, moved, deleted as you see fit. And each one of these steps really sit in a smaller granular test. And on the left side, you can see that, this is really looking at a order to cash and standard stocked item script that is ultimately would be pieced together with a larger project. And I think that brings me to a good point too, because within Swift test, it's really, that's the foundational pieces. It's made up of projects, scenarios, and scripts. So when you're a global company, a national company, and you have multiple businesses using an instance of an application or multiple instances, that's really going to be important for organization purposes. And it's really designed ultimately. Again, we always go back to it. It's designed for the business analyst and the super user. We want you to be able to, allow and enable those folks to not only do the testing, but to understand it and make adjustments, and modifications as they go through the process. So when we talk about some, differences between what we do or what makes us unique to the cloud community is, Swift Test is a cloud-based software as a service model. We're hosted on Microsoft Azure. And again, we always go back to the product being application aware. It's a really unique feature for what we do and what's available in the market today. Really just adds a tremendous efficiency for the folks that are managing, one, but multiple applications. Again, as we continue to talk about, it's built for the people who spend the most time in the application. This is really allowing you to save time on resources, save time and money, I should say, on resources. So it's about the business analyst and the super user. Again, the value in Swift Test is saving time, eliminating the complexity, but it's really saving money too, which I think is really important for anybody that's looking at ways to improve their team, improve their business, is saving money where they can, and allowing your analysts and super users to build, maintain, understand, and edit those test scripts. It really does enable your organization to get the most out of the talents that you have. And with Swift has built-in capabilities, there's no need or requirement for a developer studio. Our dynamic data store, again, we talked about soft coding scripts. It also allows folks to build, modify, at a pace that can scale as you continue to grow. And documentation, again, we'll go back to it. It's one of the least favorite parts of any person in charge of a testing process. How we do it at DWS or with Swift Test is not only really easy, it's really it covers all of the key pieces of your testing frame by frame, but it's also a gold standard. It allows your team to document that at a pace and at a quality that will ensure that you're prepared for any audit or for any proof of how your team is testing. And ultimately too, we prioritize our customer security, and that's truly fundamental to our core. So it is important that we do share that we are ISO accredited as well. So when we think about the benefits, it's pretty straightforward. Besides the making life easier on your team, ultimately, the people that are leveraging Dimension Swift Test from a test execution standpoint, folks are saving up to 60% of the time, every time they're running a test, which is huge, and even more so, people when they're needing to, create those tests or maintain. Again, when you're doing this on a quarterly basis, you need to be able to rely upon the library that you're building out. When it comes to maintaining those, folks are saving a huge number, and they're cutting their that time by 70%. So it's pretty drastic time savings, which can obviously impact the organization from top to bottom. And that's really kind of where we want to end it. And I think it's the idea that when you walk away from the webinar today, and you're thinking about what we do, this is really it. We're trying to help your team improve the quality of your testing, make it easier, accelerate the pace, and ultimately, ease the burden on your team. We using a tool like this, again, you're improving the quality, you're doing it faster, but you're doing your team a favor by making it a lot easier. And ultimately that does reflect in the end product and in the end results. So that is it for me today. I'm not sure, Rachel, do we have any questions? Or I think this is a good time if folks want to ask any questions. I'm happy to answer those, and if I can't, I'm happy to follow up as well.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Yeah, we did have a couple of questions. You did cover about the platform, which does it run on, which is Azure, but I think one of the other questions relates to what do you need to run Swift Test? So what technology do you need to actually run Swift Test?
Yeah, really good question. So it's very simple. It's browser based. Swift Test can be run on Chrome. It can be run on Microsoft Edge and Firefox. So all you need is access to the internet. And again, that brings up a great point. We're living in a world where so many of us are doing things remotely. We're working on remote teams. We're handling these projects remotely. Using a tool like Swift Test really enables that dynamic too, because if you're able to access the internet, you can access Swift Test, and you can access all of the assets that you need to be able to handle that as effectively as you can.
Great, thanks. And I think the other question, really a couple of questions, quite similar in terms of they relate to the training. Does it take a lot of time to take the training to set up? We talk about it being super user friendly. Does it take a lot of time to learn the tool? And then if you were to run your own test scripts, is that quite an easy process?
Yeah, so great question too. So specific to the training, again, yeah, that is something that we like to touch on. It's as a less than highly technical. I'm not here as an engineer. I'm here as one of the folks on the sales side. But the training is when you're getting up to speed with Swift Test, we offer an online learning environment. So not only can you do it at your own pace, but it does from what our customers and what we've seen with folks using the tool, it's a getting up to speed in days rather than weeks and months that that you would see with other tools and other things to help you in that regard. So yeah, so the training is you can access it as you need, and ultimately the tool itself was designed to be able to be adopted quickly. And I believe there was a question about test scripts as well, Rachel?
Yeah, just about the test scripts and can I create my own test scripts, or are they pre-built?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, within Swift Test, again, you want to mirror your business process, how your organization is running. So you can, and it's, you know, you can build your own test scripts, and ultimately that's a huge area that the tool can help you do it quickly, you know, with our action-based test scripts. And I think, you know, unfortunately today we didn't have a demonstration, but that's one of the parts that really show up well when you can see the tool, is just how easy it is to build out those test scripts, as you know, step by step, as you need to, action by action. So
Okay, great. Well, I think that's all of the questions we've covered, from the ones that have come in. So yeah, I have no more questions for you, but thanks, Tyler.
awesome, Rachel. Well, thank you so much. And again, I want to thank everybody that joined us this afternoon. I want to thank the OATUG community. It's honestly, it's always a pleasure to be able to, you know, present and you know, more so have some of these conversations and learn about, you know, your team and what you guys are doing, and you know, the areas that you would like to see, you know, improvement. So I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank OATUG for helping us put this on, and please, I do want to say, you know, if there's any questions or any thoughts, you know, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're always open to having a conversation and having a quick chat too. So thank you, everybody.